So my name is John Deritu. I'm the innovation lead at Daystar University. That is, if you're joining us and you're not from Daystar University. And happy to be here. And this is one of the many sessions that we organize in Daystar University. And we are very particular in trying to drive innovation and entrepreneurship activities in our university. And so if you're here and you're not from Daystar University, I just want to let you know that at Daystar University we are very supportive of innovation related ventures, what we call companies that are startups that are trying to create some form of solution, try to generate some form of value to the society. And we have big interventions for that. I'm sure maybe as we continue on, and if you catch up with us, in our weekly activities in Daystar, you'll see the many initiatives that you're driving to try and drive innovation. So it's through those initiatives that you organize such sessions like the one that you're having today. And particularly today, we wanted to hear from somebody who probably just graduated, so is more or less like a student, an alumni from Daystar, just to get to hear their perspective on, what is this innovation? How has it helped such a person, and how far have they come? Because sometimes when you reserve it to just us, you may think that all we are talking about does not apply in the real world, but there are people among us who have tried and it's working. So we want to hear from such people. What is it that they are doing? What are the choices that they made that have made whatever idea they had, turn into a company that people can respect and admire, right? So I think it's through that I want to invite our guest today. He is a friend, and we studied together. My time in Daystar University, I'm an alumni as well, and I have seen him as a student, and I've seen him also as a founder, and he has come a long way, and he now owns a company. It's called Ishara, and I'm sure he's going to tell us more about Ishara and what it's all about. But he is a founder, and he is building a very beautiful solution that is solving, Kenyan and local challenges, right? And I'm sure he's gonna introduce all that. But it's a great pleasure to welcome Mr. Egesa Wenslaus. And just to say hi to us, he's our guest. Before we get into the deep dive and ask him a couple of questions that are gonna guide the conversation. So over to you, Mr. Egesa. Just say hi to us. In the call, we have a lot of students, people who are passionate in startups and innovation. Over to you.
Hello, guys. I hope you can see me and you can hear me. Can you?
Yeah, though there's a lot of echo somehow.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the room. I mean, I'll work on that. Let me just do the intros and then I'll work on the room. Yeah, my name is Wayne Wenslaus Egesa. I go by Wayne as an alias. Like John said, I am founder and CEO of a company called Ishara. And what we're basically doing at Ishara, we are developing assistive communication technologies for the deaf community. Basically, we are trying to develop tools that the deaf people can use to communicate easily with the hearing community. And we are leveraging AI and other interesting solutions around that space. I'm a Daystar alumni. We studied with John. We've done amazing things together. Like I'm even just happy hearing John. I was like, but then we've literally done amazing things and crazy things while we're in Daystar. And when I was invited to come and just speak to you guys and just share the few things I've learned, I won't say I'm an expert, but there are two, three things I've picked up over the period of just innovating and then just trying to develop from a student to running a company and all of those things. I was delighted. I was like happy to come and share my experiences, hoping that a student out there will be really motivated. We didn't have it when we were still back in campus. Me and John didn't have a program where people could come and just explain to you what it means to be an entrepreneur, finding a company, building, and all of those things. We never had that. We just figured it out as we go. And I am glad I get to give back to the community and just see how it goes. And yeah, I'm looking for somebody else to come up with amazing solutions from Vista, and we will be there to support you.
Great, great. Yeah, it's a very good introduction. And as you've heard, I was not lying to you when I said I guess I is just a recent graduate, right? So we just want to hear from somebody who is probably in our age group, probably going through the same things that you're going through, or has recently gone through the same things that you're going through, maybe in university, just to get to hear their outlook, right? So maybe to my first question to you, Egesa, I mean, you're just a student the other day, and now you're founding you've founded this company, and it's actually starting to bring a lot of attention. And so we just want to hear, was entrepreneurship and innovation something that you always envisioned, right? Or did it come as a result of some experience you had in data, or were you just born with a passion? You know, some people are born to be innovators. For you, how did it come, right? Yeah. I think you're muted, Egesa.
Yeah, thanks. Was I born to be an innovator? No, 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 no. I think that is a really strong statement. Nikisema hivyo nitakuwa nakudanganya. No, I wasn't born to be an innovator. It very much came because I was in Daystar, I was with the right friends, with the right people, and we were just figuring out. We very much knew we wanted to do amazing things. We wanted to build solutions to help people. We just didn't know how to do it. In fact, I make a joke that the word entrepreneurship really made sense vizuri nikiwa Daystar. Before that, mimi sikuwa najua maana entrepreneurship ni. Like I knew it, but it wasn't like something I wanted to do, or I didn't give it so much thought. But yes, the drive to build and just make something meaningful for society and create value for people, that one came mainly out of data, just by doing not even Ishara per se, but projects before Ishara, just trying to kind of make a website for the school, an app for this group of people, for Deloitte, with Kaizo, trying and failing multiple places, and then we quickly realized, what we are trying to do is quote unquote entrepreneurship. If it does work out, it's going to be what we call entrepreneurship. So yeah, I was never born like this. I picked it up in Daystar, and I'm hoping it's not a boring story. It's more like, I feel like most people are not born to be entrepreneurs. Most people just grow into the role as you keep on building, as you keep on growing.
Okay. So what you're saying is that literally anyone can be an innovator and an entrepreneur.
Yeah, very much so. Anyone, yeah.
Okay. I hope people in the audience are getting that you also can come up with something. So, but I want to go back to something you've said, that how all this started was sort of you were seeing problems, and then you were trying to come up with solutions even before you knew the word innovation and entrepreneurship. So your outlook was, I see a problem here and I want to come up with a solution, which is the mentality you need as an innovator, right? So was this the same outlook, or was this the same perception that led you to come up with this big startup company that you're now founding, Ishara AI?
Yes, and also I won't say no, but yes, and also 70% yes. Yes, in the sense of, before Ishara, there was many other ideas we had tried on, and even John was also part of these ideas. Like, we would try to maybe build an application for the inventory management for the labs, build something for the Deloitte, build something for the church. The mentality we had was, we are good at building things, and we are spotting all of these gaps in our community, and back then our community was data. So how about we try to fix them? And then we knew we could build, so building wasn't the problem. But we quickly realized, the more you build things, the more you realize, you can build it, but can always, like, the challenge of adopting it from the other side can be also a problem. So that was one of the early challenges I realized. But I got the mere fact of knowing to identify a problem and then building with that problem, just being like, okay, this is an existing problem, I'm seeing it, I can actually do something about it, and then trying to do something about it. That, if I can call it that muscle, you need to exercise that muscle to just sit down and be like, I think this is a problem I can solve. I can either make code for it, or I can put two and two together. I can supply material here and then solve this problem. And then try to do that, keep practicing that muscle. That's a very important skill set to have, to spot a problem and try to fix it. And it is from that, when the idea of Ishara came about, I had already practiced building solutions, even though most of them used to fail, or not fail per se, but you kind of, let's say, used to learn from the shortcomings of the solutions. By the time Ishara came about, I was like, okay, I think I actually have enough skill to deliver on Ishara. And when the idea of Ishara came about, it wasn't a grand idea. The cause was noble, but we just wanted to build it to see if it works for the small situation we're in, like from the school level, see if it works, put a team together, see if we can create a proof of concept, and then test it out with maybe one dev person. And then, so from there on, by the way, this small idea can grow. A good analogy is like the mustard seed idea. It's like, started out as a mustard seed, but planted vizuri and then nurtured vizuri over time. It starts taking root and then starts taking shape. And then now looking at it, it seems like a big idea. Back then, it was more like another problem. Like, how okay, we can create an app to solve this, and it's cool. Let's create an app to solve this. And yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm picking a lot from your conversation, from what you're telling us, and I'll come back to the failure part because that's very interesting. And I'm also picking up, and I hope the audience in the call are also picking it up, that big ventures, big ideas don't start as big ideas. They start as small concepts that grow over time. I think that's why we call them startups, because they literally start small and then they grow in time. So it's not about trying to build as many things at the same time as possible. It's about what works right now. Can you make that work right now? And then you're going to grow the company as you grow, in size and all of that. So that's very nice. But then also from your conversation, I've heard you mentioning the word problem many times. And for example, in Daystar, we look at the problem as the gateway for creating valuable startups. Because ideally, you're trying to create some solution for the society. For there to be a solution, that means there must be existing a problem you're trying to solve, right? So I want to hear from you. How important has it been, right, for you in your company as you're growing? How important has it been for you as Ishara to try and understand the problem first before rushing into building features and all of that? So how important has it been to narrow down on the problem and understand the problem before trying to add more solutions? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has been, now from the point at which Ishara exists now, it's very important. But when it started, we had not learned that it was that important when we started, and that's why partly I know Ishara kind of started. It's kind of like slightly over 3 years. Just okay, we're getting into 3 years. We're kind of 2.5 years old. The idea has been cooking, and now we're 2.5 years old. But when we started, we didn't actually know. But it's again what I said. We didn't have the knowledge to know that was the first thing we should be doing, worrying about the problem and then breaking the problem down, seeing if it actually exists, validating the problem, and then building the solution. So now from where we are, and it's not actually so far from where most of you guys are, it's just a few, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead, is that we see that it's very important because we don't have infinite time and infinite resources. So given that we have a short amount of time and short amount of resources and constraints on resources, knowing the problem explicitly and just having a clear idea of the problem that exists allows you to build the actual thing that will get you to the solution of the problem. And then once you can get the solution really well, what we call the MVP, you can directly create value from it. And when I say create value, it can be, you can get money, you can start selling it immediately without having to build the whole thing all at once. So the problem, identifying the problem is very, very important. Something that we as Ishara we have learned is sometimes when the idea starts, you think this idea is what will solve the problem, and then in the first few iterations, yes, the idea can solve the problem. But as you go on, you realize the problem exists because there are certain people. These people have preferences. So your idea, the way it is, might not work. You need to tweak some parts of your idea or some part of the solution, let's call it. Now the idea has started a solution. You need to tweak parts of the solution to fit the problem. So, and the problem is evolving because the users or the people you're solving for are also growing. So the people you're servicing are always growing, wanna evolve, and because they're growing, sometimes the idea or the solution, ikibaki set in stone, just a moment. Yes, ikibaki set in stone, it will not work. You'll have to keep on evolving it and tweaking it slowly. So back to you guys, if you can get a way to understand the problem ahead of time before you get on to building all at once. I'm not saying you want to build, like what you can build. There's things you can build before you know the problem fully. But if you can sit down and actually understand the existence of the problem and why how the problem arises about, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to get into analysis paralysis. But let's say maybe 60% of the problem, a good 60% that you're confident, like, okay, I understand it enough to build something, the first prototype of it. I think it's really helpful because it speeds up the rate of which you can build a solution and improve on it.
Okay, I think that's amazing, because I think that's echoes what you're trying to do here in Daystar. We have a cohort of people we are trying to help start companies, and we are trying to push them focus on the problem first. Right? Do research on the problem to understand the problem first, because it's only through that you can create a solution that addresses the problem, and not just that, but effectively. And I just want to hear your opinion. I wanted to hear your opinion. Would you attribute the reason why so many people go on to build these big, incredible looking ideas, and when they try to go to market, they do not work, they do not find people to use them, or people just reject them? Would you attribute that to lack of properly understanding the problem and doing initial research first?
Yes, of course, there's many other factors that step into play when you run a business. Like, there's so many other variables to keep in mind. But one of the early things, like you want to make sure it's right. The things that are within your control, you want to make sure that should not stop you from success is understanding the problem that exists in the market, and that is very much within your success. Like example, if right now something happens. Maybe in Nairobi, and then for some weird reason, okay, no, if a client you're servicing shuts down, that is outside of your control. You can't control that if a client shuts down, but understanding the problem of the client is within your control. So that you have to do very, very well. And yes, I think to some level, not all of it, because there's other challenges, but a good chunk of startups do fail because you haven't really understood the problem. And you can understand the problem, like, yes, this person is hungry, can make them food. But you're missing out the fact that this person is hungry and they don't have enough money to actually get food, and then you're making a five-star meal instead of actually just making a normal food or making some food in any free. I don't know, but you get the idea. Like, understanding the problem is not only just knowing the user wants this and you give them this. Understanding the problem goes beyond that. Like, what factors, if you make this solution, what factors come into play for the user? Does the user have enough money to get this? Does the user have even the technologies to see the platform to Kiunda? What challenges will come in if you build a platform like this? And that stands on, and I think maybe you will do it with John, and probably has been happening in your cohort, just as doing a user study, understanding the problems the user is facing, understanding the characteristics of the users you're targeting. So if you realize maybe you're targeting campus students, what are the characteristics of most campus students? What are the characteristics of your ideal campus student who you're trying to service, Egesa ndogo ndogo. If you do that right, it'll take, I know for most people who, for builders, it feels like you're wasting our time. For many people who build, sometimes it feels like, you're wasting time. We should just build it and then we'll try and fail as it goes. But if you do it right the first time, if you just take, if you have, for example, this is arbitrary time. If you have 4 weeks and then you take 3 weeks to really understand the user and extrapolate what they really need, and then the last week to actually build the solution to solve for the problem that you have identified from the users and their characteristics, you'll build a way better product than if you take 3 weeks to build and then the last week to validate it and then keep failing and rebuilding to find coming and make sense for the user. So as you said, yeah, a good chunk of some failures can be attributed to lack of understanding of the problem.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned that while you're still in campus, you are always trying to, come up with solutions, and you're this futuristic, and and you are trying to invest in your life to become the person that you are today. And probably people in the audience, most of them are still students in campus. So I want to know, with so many distractions in campus, you all know campus, with so many distractions, with so many things, you have classes, you have, I don't know, sports, so many other things. How, and so many other things, right? When I mention so many other things, people also know what those many other things are. So the question is, how are you able to remain focused? You started this company, this idea, you started working on it while you were still in campus. But then, like many other students, you probably also had so many other things that you need to figure out. The normal things in campus. So how are you able to find a balance? How are you able, to prioritize and all of that? Yeah, that's my question.
For that, I honestly think while you're in campus, you have the most amount of time you can ever have. Like, on your hands, kuna time nyingi sana, man. Like, if you do the math, you probably have, what, maybe 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 4, at the minimum 3 hours of class, at the maximum 9 hours of class. And if you do 9 hours, that's like from probably, if you do the math, that's like 7 to 3, I'm assuming 7 to 5. And then you have all this other time that you're completely free. So one thing I think you need to understand is you need to understand that most of your time that you have available for you as a campus student is you have so much free time, and you need to remember to use it wisely or productively. Yes, productively, that's the word. That's one thing I think you should very much keep in mind. And then two, now how I did it. I always used to get, I love, I'm not saying don't do side quests. I'm calling them side quests because there's the main journey you have in campus. Maybe that's to get an A or to pass your degree. And then you can have side quests. A side quest can be you play sports. For us, Ishara, for me, Ishara was a side quest. Like, I knew what I wanted to do in campus, and then Ishara was a side quest. And then, and I don't know, a relationship can also be a side quest. It's the things that you can do outside of the main thing that you're supposed to do while you're still in campus. So you have to, what I always kept in my mind is every side quest I do has to be helping in the main, has to have a direction in my life, like in a general sense of it's going to be productive to me. So I did many other things like before Ishara. There's many other things I did, but most of these things I did was still very much productive. So I used to love to go to tech events, organize tech events, go meet up with tech people, have tech conversations with kinds of hackathons. Those are things I did, and I did quite a lot of them, but most of them still fed into the main thing, which was helping me become an amazing developer, and by extension, being an amazing developer allowed me to create Ishara and be have the company, and you kind of see how it all falls apart, how it all falls into place. The thing, what I would like to just encourage is the distractions. There are negative distractions, of course, then there are positive. Let's not call them distractions, let's call them side quests. The things you can do that still stack up your skills and they still help you in the journey you have to building a company. For me, by the time I knew wanted to build Ishara, I was like locked in. Like I knew, like, okay, I'll just focus on this because I was almost clearing school, so I wasn't really worried about kumaliza because I knew at this point the GPA is fairly solid. Like there's not really sina units nyingi to worry about namaliza. I'm going, so I knew like I can focus on Ishara. So it came around the right time. But maybe you'll have an idea when you're in first year or second year. even as you build the idea, anything that you do outside of that building has to help you either build the idea better or become a better developer or entrepreneur. Yes, entrepreneur, and then entrepreneur slash founder, and then finally it has to help you in your academic skills, because academics does help in your founding skills. Well, not the GPA, not the A itself per se, but the ability to think critically and analyze solutions and try to find solutions. So if you can fairly pass your exams fairly, like not all the way, but if you can do research and then answer the right questions, know how to get the right answers, know how to get high GPAs, can easily carry forth the same ideas into starting a company. So to sum it all up, I would say distractions are there, but all you need to do is identify what things you can do that really help you and what don't help you, and then the things that help you, do more of those. So I loved hanging out with people like Akina John, building ideas, going to events, talking to people, teaching people about tech, and all of that culminated to help me be a better person to build Ishara. So do more of those and less of the things that don't help you, like the things like obvious things like drugs, like wasting time and not actually building, or saying you're going, or playing too many video games. Like, okay, you can play a good, like, it's not bad if you play occasionally, but if it's bad if you play like 3 days straight, like, don't do things that don't actually stack up to helping you move forward. And Uzuri campus, you have enough time. So if you do it visually, you'll realize how all of these skills are helping you. And when you actually zone into what you're building, you'll build an amazing solution.
Okay. So I think from all that, what I'm picking is filter the noise. There's a lot of noise, so filter the noise. Figure out what your top priorities are. So priorities, and then be intentional in those priorities. I think that's what I'm getting. So filter the noise. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of distractions and all of that. So identify which are your top priorities right now and are going to be a positive investment in your life, and then be intentional on building those priorities. So if you're doing computer science, one of your priorities to probably build a skill like developing something, an app, and then you have to be intentional in ensuring that you learn that skill. So I think, so if you look at your top priorities and one of them is that you see yourself as a CEO or a founder of this great company driving some form of change in the society in the next 2 years, if that's a priority, you select that priority and you become intentional about it, working at it every day intrinsically, that you in your heart you want to do it. So I think that's quite important, and I think that's a very good question, because I receive that question almost every time when I'm talking to my fellow students. I still call myself a student, and they are asking, what, I have this I'm concentrating with. When I talk to my parents, they're saying concentrate with this. When I talk to my uncle somewhere in Ushago, they're saying concentrate with this. Like, there's so many things around you and everybody is telling you what to do. I think it all boils down to, okay, I'm in campus, this is what my future looks like, what are my priorities right now, and then you filter that noise and then you start working on those priorities. So thank you for that. So I want to pivot again to the journey of creating a startup. And I think by this time we have established how clear it is to first of all spend time on understanding the problem and doing research, which is going to save you so much effort and resources onwards. Now, just working on that, I want to know the next thing I want to ask is how to build the right team around you, because building alone is also very hard. And looking at you probably have people who we call co-founders, people who are helping you build this solution. So how have you been able to find the right people to join you to build this company that you're building? What criteria did you use to know that this person is the good fit to come and join my company in order to help me drive this? And have you had instances where you brought somebody on board to help you start this company or build this company, and they went rogue on you, and how did you deal in such a case? Yeah. I think you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. So let me start with the last bit. Have I ever brought in somebody and went rogue on me? I'm grateful not so far. not yet. Well, I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but it probably happened in business at some point. But no, it hasn't happened, mainly because the people who I brought in to help me are really people who started out from Dista. And the people I loved hanging out with, we loved to do the same things. We loved building, we loved uh, sitting down and dreaming of how we can come up with amazing solutions. And we loved just talking about tech and how tech can transform the world. So these are people who probably had strong core values and were strongly aligned. And yeah, but the truth be told is the importance of a team. Like a team is very, very, very important when it comes to building a solution, because you can't build everything by yourself. And everyone has different strengths, and they bring in different strengths to their as they are building whatever they're building or whatever the idea is to bring into life. Everyone has different strengths. So kind of for me, I know my strength is analytical thinking and strategic planning and vision driving. Like I'm good at looking into the future, figuring out what needs to work to make that, and then making small steps to get to go there, and a high risk tolerance. But I knew one of the things that I don't have is communication skills. And I'm not saying like I'm not communicating now, I am of course, but there is a certain level of high efficient corporate communication that you need to have to get people to give you money, to inspire partnerships, to inspire amazing things that I didn't have intrinsically. And yes, I could have learned it. I could have taken a course in Udemy and learned it, but it's easier if you just get somebody who it was obvious to me that I already know people who are good at this skill, and I can bring them on board and they can help me build this. So one of those people is my co-founder named Noan, really good in communications and really good at operations, just making sure the company is running the way it needs to run. That's not particularly my strength, and that's particularly her strength, and for the best, she does that really amazingly. I have one of my other co-founders named Patton, really impact driven, and because Ishara is an impact, has some social impact elements to it, he's the best fit for that because he's impact driven. He knows about making what solutions that should help and benefit people. I know I'm impact driven, but not to that level. Me, like, as long as the solution works, I wouldn't really care so much. Like, you want the button color red, color green. If red works for you, stop telling me to make it color green. But from Patton's perspective, maybe there's a reason why that person wants it color green. And he can easily extract that and say, like, okay, the reason why they want it color green is maybe because they're colorblind, or maybe red means danger in their culture. So you have to have all of those bits incorporated into the product. And that's what he brings to the table. One of my other early co-founders and early team members was John Mwinde. Some of you know him, some of you don't. And actually, John Mwinde, the idea was these guys are really good at building, like just sitting down and coding. These guys would code like 12 hours straight. So we would sit down, code with them, and try to get stuff off the ground, just to get the early versions of Ishara there. But the thing there is, co-founders, building a team around you is really important, because how I look at it is, you have an idea, I always joke with my teammates, like, we have stared into the mind of God, and God has showed us a picture of how an idea is, like a great idea. So the great idea is Ishara in this case. But in order for you to pull that idea from the mind of God and bring it into reality, you can't do it by yourself. You have to have other people help you bring that into reality. So everybody has their strengths, everybody can pull off something, and it's up for you. Some things that really distinguish good founders and good entrepreneurs is the ability to find the right people to do that thing that you are bad at. You have to be like, okay, I'm really bad at this, let me get somebody who's really good at this to help me. And if you can do that early on, like, just talk to your friend when you're like, whether I think you're really good at this, come help me do this. Wakisema sawa, okay, wakikataa, and it's still okay, you tried, you can get another person. But if you're in Data, you have a high talent concentration. Just go to a friend when you're like, hey, I'm not good at programming, but I'm not good at programming, but I have this idea. You're really good at programming. Do you mind working with me this idea? Tuone tukainaweza work. One another time, okay, maybe because of like, maybe it's not going far. Maybe it's just for like, it's a 2-month project. And then 2 months it and then I'm like, oh, but I think it's really good. We can continue on building and building, and then we can take it on from there. So you don't have to know everything, and that's the power, the beauty of a team. You can allow other people to bring in the expertise with a shared vision to help you carry an amazing thing. And that is one of the most critical things, especially you as a founder. And if you want to build something, you have to know your strengths, but also know your weaknesses. And where you're weak at, have somebody come and cover you. And yeah, because I know in my team, I'm the builder. I'm the guy who sits and builds and strategically thinks and tries of all of those things. And not that the other guys can't, but it's not per se their strongest point, and it's okay because I do that. But I'm not good at communicating. I'm not good at worrying about what the clients, what's the deaf people. I can, and I'm consciously doing it, but it's not intrinsic to me to worry about what the deaf people feel like. This, it's good to have this button here, this vis here. We need to have the app work like this and not like this. That's not my stronghold, but Patton is. So he understands that, communicates that to me, and then we keep building, and we're all helping each other out. So a team is very important, and don't be afraid to have co-founders. Like, yeah, don't, especially in the early stages, just have a co-founder. Doesn't even have to have the title of a co-founder. Just bring somebody along for the journey. As long as you're building and you're having fun when you're building it, that's always something I say. Just have as much fun as you can. Like, try to laugh, try to take breaks, try to build and ship, and then sit down and be like, oh, by the way, this was really good. Just have fun as much as you're building it, and then slowly you'll feel like work is no longer work. Work is like play, and you're getting somewhere with it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. That I think you've just you've just done justice on that question. So I don't have any more follow-up questions on the story about co-founders. But I like that co-founders are there to complement your skills, not to compete. Right? So you're not competing with each other on who can do what the best. It's, I'm not good at this, but you're good at this. Can we work together while looking at the vision that you're trying to achieve, right? And I think it's very important. I think there was somewhere I was also reading that as much as investors invest in a great idea, they also invest in a team. Because a team assures somebody who is investing their hard-earned money that you have the ability to deliver that solution. Because you have the right people helping to drive this solution. So it's very important to have co-founders, and I'm glad you have really emphasized that. But I want to know, according to you, what role did, maybe let's say, Daystar University play in your journey? This journey started in Daystar University. So whether through academics, mentorship, was it the lecturers, was it the friends, was it the resources in Daystar? What role did Daystar University play? Because that is going to inform that are universities really creating any role in helping the future founders that are going to come, right? So I want to know, did Daystar have any impact in your journey?
Before I answer that, there's a good joke when the question you asked, does university have roles in shaping of ideas and just founding and all of those? There's a joke I came across actually from material that says these days companies are the one that are teaching people how to be driven. Like you come out of campus and then realize, your employer realizes this guy doesn't have discipline skills, doesn't have drive, doesn't have all of this, and then it's your company to give you courses and to provide for you material that improves you rather than you having to have done it in campus or in high school or in another setting. So that's the joke. That's the current joke. Like employers are the one to teach you how to be a good person, to have good etiquette because maybe it was at certain campus. All to say that I think, yeah, for me, Daystar had a really critical role, and I do think like higher education places like campuses and other institutions have a really huge role that they play in the development of people. The thing I think somebody said, I think it's Jordan Peterson, which I actually agree with. 90% of what you're doing, what you go for in campus, the academics you go for in campus is a 10% bit of what you actually need in campus. The 90% of what you need in campus is knowing how to socialize with people, knowing how to interact, knowing how to chase a dream, knowing how to be self-disciplined, knowing how to solve conflicts, knowing how to interact with the other gender. All of these things, that's the 90% of what you need to do in campus. That's the majority, and in my take, that's what campus really does for people. Now, what it does for an entrepreneur, what it did for me, for me it did literally everything, but I was very much a curious person, like, and people would attest to it, even John, like, I was that person that, like, if I learn a programming language, in class. I'm like, what can I do with this? Can I actually build something out of it? And campus was that environment. I could try and fail. I could build something and be like, okay, I built a mobile app. Let me see if some guys would like using it. I gave it to like 3 or 5 guys. I'm like, okay, it's good, but you don't like it. I'm like, okay, cool. You don't like it. It will feel bad, but at least I tried and failed. So it was a good environment where I could try out ideas and fail without harsh consequences from the work, because campus is a controlled environment. It's kind of like a good experimenting box. If you can experiment it well in campus, when it ships out there, it's going to be really good. It's going to sustain itself. Because in campus you can fail without high risks. In the outside world, if I fail at if I try to an example, if I try to build an app and then I ship it out, one, I have to do like intense marketing, because marketing is hard, so I have to put money in marketing. If it fails, I have to pull it back in, build it again, and then pull it out there with intense marketing. So that's resource intensive, and the cost implications are high on me. In campus, I just have to give a friend and tell them, check, use the application. And then they try it out. So early stuff like campus is a good testing ground. It's really amazing. So have fun when you can. If you have great ideas, test them out in campus. If they work, they'll probably stick after campus. If they don't, pivot haraka. Just be like, okay, this didn't work. Let me try it on a different thing while you're still in that space. Also, as John said, like the lecturers are really amazing, especially for data, but the natural sense is in campuses you get to interact with really smart people like lecturers and other people. So this is good because you can build your social circle and you can have the right mentors. And an amazing mentor I had when I was in campus named Madam Harriet. And those, okay, most of my lecturers were my mentors, but an amazing person who actually just really held my hand to kind of help me grow in the field of tech. And it was Madam Harriet Ratema. You probably know her. But she wasn't even like an AI fast person herself, but it's just like the willingness to be like, yeah, try this next time, try this, think of this, write a research paper, stuff like that. That direction is really good. And that's what you get in campus that you really lack out of here, because Ukwinje, nobody tells you that. Nobody will be like, try this, unless you're in a program that teaches you that. But nobody does that for you, and it's really hard, especially if you just started from out of campus. Like ukianza tu kama huko kampu, like that container of direction is a non-existent, so you will try and fail so many times before you figure out what works and then go with that. All to say, I think the campus environment is really amazing. Like if you can get the right lecturers and teachers to mentor you to do whatever you want, share your ideas with them, tell them what you think is possible, they will help you the best they can. Then they may not be the best at it, because not every lecturer knows how to build a company, but they give you their best information on how to do it, and you can take some and try it out. You can find amazing people who can help you build. I think that's the most amazing thing. And you can have amazing relationships and friendships that can last outside of school. And that's really important, especially in your career, not only as you build, but also as you develop as a person. And quickly realize, it's great to build good, cool ideas, but it's also better if you build them with people you enjoy building them with. So for me, most of those guys still come from Daystar. And yes, it is. There's definitely a lot campus can do for you. So please leverage it. Like usitoke kampuni hujafanya, hauja try to run a business or just see if it works. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You tried and learned it and picked up some skills. And you had a mentor or you had a lecturer try to improve or mentor you or stuff like that. That like don't come out of campus or define you beauty, because they really play a crucial role in your development career-wise. And if you're into the entrepreneurship path, it'll really put an edge over you, because you'll easily try when you're in campus and you try them out and you know like, okay, this works, this doesn't work, because they tried it out in a safe environment. Now if I'm out here, it's okay. You already know what works and what doesn't.
Okay, amazing. We are now coming towards the end, and I want to know. Right now, for example, in Daystar University, we have a platform where a whole directorate actually, where students can come, innovate, as you've said, fail as many times as possible without any punishment, and learn from that failure. And it's from failing a lot that you get to have. They say a lot of failure, a great idea comes from a lot of failure. That's what they say. So now that you have such a platform, what's that one piece of advice you'd give people in Daystar who are seeing themselves as future founders and future CEOs, shaping shaping policies and shaping the economy in the next 5 years. What advice will you give such students who are listening, to us today?
I think it's interesting. The moment I realized like most great ideas, or most amazing things I like working with were built from somebody who had an idea, like alikaa chini akakuwa na idea na kaunda, and I was like, that's super cool. Like the computer right now we're using just was seated in somebody's idea. I was like, we can make a computer, and then he made it. Of course, there was innovation, steps of innovation. Somebody first discovered electricity or invented electricity. I'm not sure if it's discovered or invented, but first you had to make sure we know electricity, and then you know transistors, and then you know this, and then somebody else stood on top of that knowledge and shoulders of that person. It's like we can build a computer, and then somebody like Google sat on top of a computer and be like, whether we can build Google Meet. The moment I realized or the moment you kind of just get a strong sense of most of these things are built from people who have they're not so different from you. Like you would think it's because of US that they're different. No, like most of these guys are just normal people. They have ideas and they execute on the ideas to see what happens. I think that is the advice I would give people. Like, okay, then I will try to give that recognition, and I'm just saying it with words, but I hope you come to that realization. Like most of the amazing things you love and adore are probably developed by human beings, other than nature as the creation of God. Most of the things are developed by human beings. And if you realize that you are also a human being who has the same capacity to do the same, it kind of empowers you to be like, I can actually do this. So for the young folks, I think you have also a chance to do an amazing job. Like you have the environment, the timing has never been better. Like you're in an age of AI where building things is very easy. You are in an age of information where I can learn something literally just by going on YouTube and getting the course. I can learn whatever I need to learn. You have support from people like John who actually are making innovation and innovation ecosystem to support you to do it. We didn't have it, but it didn't stop us. We still did the best we could and had as much as fun. But you're in a good place where the support is there and the times are supporting you. So go ahead and try. I think do not hold yourself back. Like just take a leap of faith. Be like, I think this is a great idea. Let me try it out. If it fails, and people probably are worried about the failure bit of it. If you fail, I think, at least from my perspective, I always look at the negative aspect of it. Like, if I fail, what is the worst thing that can happen if I fail? If the worst thing that can happen, I'm okay with that worst thing. Like, maybe the worst thing, maybe it's a reputational damage on my part. But I'll be like, okay, reputational damage. Can I survive a reputational damage? Yes, I can. Okay, then I'm okay. If it fails, and maybe it's a company you're running. If the company fails, you can still put that company in your CV and then go and apply for a good job. And then people will still take you because they're like, you actually run this and this company. We have a similar program in our company. You can come and lead it. Like the failure bit of it is less minimized. You can worry about like, I can if I'm not afraid of the failure anymore, I can now try to do my best at that. And I think I would just encourage you guys, like, do your best, have fun. The world is really, really desiring innovative ideas. I think as I've studied so many people from different places and companies and institutions, I think the Syrians have an interesting take of building things, and the timing has never been right because we're not tech tech focused peke yake. Like you have people who are good in tech, that's like engineering school. We also have a communication school. We also have like a social impact school. Like there's so many schools, and if you can combine the right people, you can come up with really, really interesting solutions for different problems. So yeah, I would just encourage you to take heart and go and experiment and see what you can do before it's too late. Like when you're still in campus, and then once you can come out, once you make your in campus, you'll have enough confidence to replicate it in real life.
Okay, that's amazing. So that's all my questions. I want to now give maybe 2 or 3 people in the call a chance to ask a question, and then maybe very fast because again time is not really on our side, and then Egesa is going to respond. So anyone need a question for Egesa? You can like shoot up your hand. Okay, the hand in the Google Meet. Yes, Dennis. Yes, Dennis. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
My question is.
Quick question. I think Egesa was kicked out of the call.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Oh, he's back. He's back. Yes, yes. Continue, Dennis. He's here.
So I guess I have a question for you concerning innovation and entrepreneurship. I guess.
It's okay. You can just ask.
My question is, let's say you are working on a project and it has to have an MVP. What can you say is the time period for it to actually go towards not failing and actually have progress to move to the next step?
Okay, if I get it right, you have an innovative idea and you want to have MVP, and you want to find out the time period it will take for you to have something tangible and go to the next step, and I see fail. If I'm trying to see if I got the question right, am I correct?
Totally, 100%.
Okay. I think I would say it's an interesting take. Very much depends on the solution you're trying to build. I think some solutions have a different take. Some, if you're building a hardware kind of thing, like a mobile phone example, that you can't iterate. I can't tell you give me a prototype by 1 week. That doesn't make sense. If you're building a drug, that can even take. Drugs take 10 years just to build and develop a drug. Before it's out into the market, it takes 10 years to get one drug, like medicine. So, but if it's a software product, which is easy, I would say the faster the better. Like if you can get it out the fastest so that you can test it out, the faster the better. But all in a nutshell, I would say, because if I tell you the faster the better, that can be tomorrow. But I would say give yourself maybe 3 months, 6 weeks to 3 months. I don't know, that's a month and a half to 3 months to see if you can have an MVP that is worth showcasing. Of course, if you leverage tools like AI, you can have a landing page by tomorrow. But we are talking about connecting the front end, back end, multiple other things just to see if it works, and all of those things, and also factoring in user feedback and stuff like this. Give yourself maybe 6 weeks to 3 months to just see if that thing works, and that is not validating it. That's just you seeing the product yourself and then going to somebody and being like, can you use this? If they say they can, good. If they say they can't, you have to keep working to improve it. But at least the faster you can get to something you can see and you can show people like, here it is, use it, the better. That's usually the idea. So I would say 6 weeks to 3 months. But if you can make it faster, if you can make it a day, even better.
Okay. Thank you for that. Dennis, I think I've answered your question. Frederick?
Yes, Mr. Egesa, thank you and congratulations for that your innovation. Now, my question is, what should you consider as a policy intervention for the comrades in the university? I'm coming from Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, and one of the challenges that are affecting most of the people, and it is the case even with the Gen Z, is the issue of unemployment. What could you suggest as a policy intervention so that from the campus, the comrade can use this platform of innovation and entrepreneurship so that they become solvers of the problems in the society?
I think, yeah, okay, for sure. The fact of employment is, well, honestly, it's not reducing, but employment is less. There is less employment if you contrast it to the actual people graduating. Like, if a million people can graduate, but my friend, the job market is only capable of absorbing 200,000 of these people, and the rest are left dangling. I think where innovation comes in is the fact that you can innovate, one, you can create more value and opportunities. When I say value, value can mean more money for you, and you can create other employment opportunities for other people by solving the problems and creating a system and a mechanism that can pay you, pay others, and make the other people feel happy, and like a siphon of a machine that can generate money and wealth for people, not only you and for other people. And I think that's one aspect of it. Like through innovation, you can create something that can create employment. So I think that's very much one obvious thing. The second thing is people who are intrinsically innovative are more appealing to employers. Like if you're innovative and you have done initiatives, like you have used innovativeness to come up with an initiative, which can be, for us it was Ishara, it can be, heck, maybe you started a blog on campus. Maybe might not be the most innovative thing, but at least you took initiative to try something. That aspect is usually very lucrative to employers, because you want to find the best people at doing whatever they're doing. And if you find somebody who has from campus but has shown initiative, shown direction, shown commitment to the cause or a particular cause that might align with a certain company or a program of a company, something like that, these people are more attractive than somebody who has just completed it. You have straight A's. It's like, yeah, you have straight A's, it's good, but what extra steps have you taken? I would rather personally get somebody who has a B plus, a B plus, B minor, A minor, and has shown extra commitment and initiative, innovative ways and entrepreneurship ways, and bring them into a company rather than somebody akona straight A's na hakuna hiyo. So that's why I feel like that framework helps in the sense of it prepares you much better for the future job market. And then three, I think there's a way you can do. You probably have been hearing of side gigs, side hustles, all of those things. Where the world is going, if you have enough skills and enough initiative and enough agency, you don't need to be fully employed. You can create your own money from just working remotely for a big company or servicing some stuff around your area. Like there's ways you can create value for yourself and value for other people. And again, when I say value can be translated to money. When I say value is things that people are willing to exchange money for. So I can choose to exchange for it money, and I can choose not to exchange for it money. But all in all, to say, you can get value from it, and you can exchange with it for money, and you can sustain yourself. But the innovative and entrepreneurship aspects prepares you for such kind of thinking, rather than putting you down as just you finish, go get employed, stuff like that. It kind of breaks that mentality. Like you can actually figure out life outside there, whether you're employed or they're not employed. You will find a path, and that's a really strong thing I feel like innovation and entrepreneurship does.
And maybe just to add on the policy bit, Frederick, so if you're trying to get your university to support the innovations from you guys, you who are the students, to give you the funding, to bring you experts, to offer the training and everything, you can pitch. I'm sure you have a student council that represents student staff, right? So this would be the council that also drives the student-led clubs. You can use such a council and talk to them about and send to them maybe a proposal on how you think innovation should be run in your university, and help and have such a council go now to the university management because they clearly have more command, and be able to take that to the leadership that is then going to set a policy on ensuring that good ideas from university students are funded. They create the structures and all of that to support innovation in the university. So it has to be like that. If you in your university you feel like not enough is being done to support you in your university, it's up to you now to escalate that to your student representatives, to escalate it to the university management, and even have a club. Call it a club for innovation, and in that club bring in external partners to come and support the club. Let the university support the club and run the club in terms of activities. Maybe you can respond to the last question from Victor. I think in terms of getting the partners and winning the awards is after it all comes from the company itself, from what you have built. It's what you have built that attracts people. So if your solution actually works, it's that people are like, huh, that's a very good solution. I can see it's generating impact. How can I be part of that? So you don't go looking for partners before you build. It's you build first, you create value, and then you look for people to come and amplify this value. So that's how you bring the partners. That's how you stand in front of a stage and talk about your idea and you win an award. So I think we can have the last question from Victor.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so my question is, I'm not sure how to state it, but I just start from the beginning. So you said that when you were still in university, you started experimenting with your ideas, okay? Like from by the time you left university, you already knew what was working and what not working. Sorry, you already knew what was working for you and what was also not working. So like before you knew what was working, what went through your mind? Because for me, when I started, like during the first few weeks, what was on my mind is I need to come up with a problem. I need to identify a problem that can earn me money straight from day one, which I came to learn just recently that I was focusing on the wrong issue. So like what was going on in your mind through what was going on in your mind before you actually decided to come up with what you are doing right now? How was the process?
Okay, but for me particularly, I lived with a cousin of mine who was physically disabled, so he was paralyzed. So for me, I was always had the intrinsic sense of how do I use technology? How do I help this? How do I help him? Okay, of course for him he was fairly okay. He used a wheelchair and he felt like he was okay. And there's not much you can do unless you have like really good program, like you are really like you're in the mechatronics field or something like that. That's one. Two, I always kind of had an innate sense of with what skills the skills I've gathered, what can I make? How can I make myself valuable and create value? What Jen was saying from the skills I've already gathered. So I know programming. What can I do with programming? I know mathematics. What can I do with mathematics? I know this. What can I do with this? Something like that. So I'm always checking to see the skills I have, how useful are they for me, and how can I create value from that. But that was from my perspective. I think for you, if you were to, if you're in a program and like you're in and you like have to identify a way to make value for people, of course, don't go in it looking for money. You can, but if you go directly saying I want to make money from it from day one, then I think that approach doesn't hold for long because you will not come up with something that is really truly innovative. You will default to something that has worked. You will default to like we know selling shoes works, so let me sell shoes. We know something else works. Let me do that. You will not default to really looking for innovative ideas and solutions for things. You might find yourself cutting corners. That is if you constrain yourself too much actually with particularly the example in Japan. But kind of the framework I will use is this existing problem an actual problem? Like hiki tunaona ni kitu watu wanapitianga. Like kama for my case, I know I grew up with my cousin, but I knew like the people who have disabilities exist and they have certain challenges. And if you can help solve the challenge, you have created value. And by extension, if you have created value, people can come in and support and you can gather money and all of those things and you can have people pay this, that, things fall into place. But the thing was, it was very clear that this problem exists and if you can solve it, you can create value. So if you can identify a problem that actually exists, and two, either people are willing to pay for that solution. Like people are willing to, if the solution is given, people are willing to pay for it. Another flip side I actually think of is it might be a problem that I actually go through. If not me, somebody close to me goes through, and I feel for them or keep it here. And can you solve that problem? Because if somebody you know goes through that, and there's multiple other people who go through that, that's usually a frame of mind I go with. The other flip side is if you build a solution, do you use that solution yourself every single day? So if you build a WhatsApp, kind of e-commerce store, for example, can you use that solution every single day yourself? Or if you can't, can you give it to somebody who's close to you, or somebody you trust, or somebody who's like maybe your best friend, or somebody who's very close to you? Unaweza wa trust wafanye watumie kitu repetitively, comfortably over a period of time. If the answers are yes for this, for those 4 set of questions, a problem you go through or a problem somebody close to you goes through and you do genuinely feel it, a solution if you build they can use, you can use yourself every day, or you can give somebody else to actually use repetitively, and you will like it when they use it rather than you fearing the criticism of you building. I feel like if these answers are yes, not for all of them, but maybe just one of them, you probably have an interesting problem you can start worrying about. Now, understanding the problem is different from building the solution. So just know you can have the problem, but the problem is like the mountain. You can know which direction the mountain is, and you can see the mountain. The solution is kind of walking to the mountain. So what small steps can you actually do to solve the problem? It can be maybe you can't build the whole, kind of like Ishara. We know we can't build the whole system overnight. So it took us some time and slowly, and we had to gather partners, we had to gather funds, we had to look for other people here and there to help us do that. So depending on your problem, you might have to see what you can do now as you work towards the problem and keep people interested. But all to say, if you can identify a problem that actually exists, and that's what John was alluding to. If you can see the problem, do user testing, work with the person facing the problem to actually identify the problem really well, and then see how many people actually go through that problem. If you yourself go through that problem, then it's good because it's a good frame. Like wewe mwenyewe unaweza sema like, if I go through it, many people like me go through it, and maybe I am a student, developer, male, age this and this, all of those. You can extrapolate and see how many people are those guys at those traits, and how many of those traits experience the same problem, and then you probably have a worthy problem, and then you can form a solution. But the framework there is just make sure the problem identified is fairly solid. Now there are many problems, of course, but just break it down visually, understand it, and then when you start building, you can slowly rise up to it. I'm very much I'm not against it, but sometimes you can't build a problem, you can't identify a problem today, build a solution tomorrow, get money the following day. It's really hard, especially in Africa. I feel like in US you can do drop shipping, it will work. In Africa, it takes time to turn the wheels because our systems are not there yet. But if you craft it visually, you can create a really strong machine that can keep on creating value for you and for the company and for the people you're solving for.
Great. That's nice. So, Victor, focus on creating the value first. The money will follow. If you can create value and deliver it to the people who need it the most, then the resources you need and the money will follow. So the mindset is not like what is paying the most right now. That's not the mindset when you're creating a startup company. If you go with that mindset, I think you'll have a lot of heartbreaks and issues. Yeah, because it takes time. It takes a while. It takes a while even for you to be profitable. The outlook and the mindset that you should always have is, which problem is pressing enough that warrants a solution? And if I've identified this problem, can I understand it effectively? And then can I come up with a solution that addresses this problem? And after I've come up with this solution, can I deliver it to the customer? You know, you can come up with a solution, but it just stays in your machine or with you. But how can you deliver that solution to the person who needs it the most? It's after you've created that value, the resources are gonna follow. So that's the mindset. Solve, sell, grow, repeat. That's how we do it. Yeah. And I think time is far much spent. And thank you guys for showing up today. I think it was this is probably one of our very first webinars that you're having, but this was very informative, and there's a lot that I think all of us have learned. Of course, this session is being recorded, and you can always watch it for future reference. Now, Mr. Egesa has a YouTube channel, and and you can go learn more about him. And he's in our ecosystem, so if you need to access him personally for inquiries, we'll be sure to. You can email innovations@daystar. I'm going to make sure I leave that in the chat, innovations@daystar, and we're going to ensure that you connect with Mr. Egesa, so you can email us through that. Other than that, I'm going to allow Egesa to just give us one final piece of advice, the last piece of advice before we call it a session. Over to you, Mr. Egesa.
Advice? What advice can I give you? It's really, I'm not really good at like one-worded advice or like condensing large amounts of information to catchy phrases, but I'll say just have fun. Don't be afraid to chase after the idea. Get a group of people who you can build with. Have as much fun as you can doing it. When I say fun, I mean like the right kind of fun. Like building, it's already hard to build, so you might at least laugh while you're in the process of building. It's a strong principle we have at Ishara. It's like it's really hard, so you might as well just have interesting ways of building, catching up, just also be friends in the process of building. But all to say, the vision you have, try to pursue it. Try to gather a team of people who are interested in supporting you to go for it, and take the risk. I think as long as it's not going to cripple you, kill you, or like really, really, really change like who you are physically or mentally, or not mentally, physically or in health-wise, I think it's worth the risk because you are young enough, and that exploration, that path can improve your life way better than if you just sit back and say, I'm not going to try to chase this idea and I'm going to live one life. You'll probably, nothing meaningful will happen. So evaluate if that path is the most exciting and exploratory path, optimize for that path, which in most cases for many people, yeah, starting a business, chasing an idea is very exploratory and leads to more growth than if you just followed the path you are told in life. Go to school, finish school, get a job, get a house, get a wife, or get a husband, get kids, send the kids to school, die. Like, that's a very boring path. But if you have an inspiration, a dream, an idea, pursue it. It can be a business idea, it can be you want to move to another city. Sit down, figure out that, go, like, do that. Do the things that excite you. Like, that's probably my parting shot.
Thank you. Those are very good words. And so we just want to say again, Mr. Egesa, we appreciate the time you have taken to talk to us, and I'm sure we have learned so much, and we are already looking forward to have you again in future sessions where you take us through different concepts in a more in-depth manner.